Anna, welcome to Punchline and happy Women's Day.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yes.
Happy Women's Day too.
Thank you. So this year's theme is about generation equality. In what ways do men and women remain unequal, and what is the impact on our families and our society?
Well, let me just start by saying the world over, no one country has achieved gender equality. So it's still work in progress for many countries, including those developed ones. And in the same vein, let me also congratulate Government of Kenya on the obvious progress it has made, particularly on legislating for gender equality. So we have seen laws go up in terms of gender-based violence. We have seen the Constitution being very clear on the 2/3 representation gender rule. And we have also seen government set up affirmative action funds and programs to support women so that they can also access opportunities for economic empowerment. We have also seen enactment of the policy on affirmative procurement, the 30% reserved for women, for youth, for people with disabilities, so they can also be government suppliers. So there's a lot that has happened, certainly in the area of legislation. However, there are still many gaps that remain. So we still see a lot of inequality in a number of places. One, let me just highlight the most obvious one, but which is a painful one still for women, and this is the area of gender-based violence. So we still see 1 in every 2 women in Kenya saying they've experienced one form or another of gender-based violence. So it means, like, we are here, one of us
has gone through
it.
Yes,
exactly. So that's a lot to be dealing with. And all these forms we are talking about range from domestic violence, you know, wife battery, sexual violence, rape, defilement, child marriage, or being called names as you are just going about your daily business. So that's just one of the areas. Female genital mutilation, not to forget that as well, because it is a big issue for Kenya. We also see, for example, in the area of the participation in the economy, I'll just pick one key issue. This is the issue of land ownership in Kenya. So if I can just focus on agricultural land, we know that women make up almost 80% of the agricultural labor force, and yet ownership of land in Kenya still remains below 10%. I say 10% because I'm still just including statistics on joint land registration. So where a woman jointly registers land with a spouse.
Yes.
So, and we know that the figures are even lower where it's just individual women. I think some studies like by FIDA, they put it at only 1% land ownership being just solely in the names of women. Yes. So what we're saying is it is wrong, because for countries that have done well the world over in terms of growth of their economies, in terms of participation in the economy, we know one key that has worked, and that is by ensuring that the other half of their countries are fully given opportunities to participate and make a difference in the economic life, but also in the economic growth of their countries.
Right.
Yes.
And it is 25 years since the very famous Beijing Forum, and Kenya really participated at that forum. So as we review the progress 25 years on, think tanks and some organizations have been saying lately that there has been a reversal of gains. Is that true in Kenya, and why?
So I think it's a mixed bag, I must say. So obviously there are places where we've done very well, and to commend that, but there are places where the needle is hardly moved or it's moving in the negative. So in this area, let me just cite 2 places. One is the issue of sexual reproductive health and rights. You know that Kenya recently hosted the ICPD conference at 25 in November last year. One of the key issues that came out very strongly there is that while we have the program of action for ICPD, which is looking at sexual reproductive health and rights, we are also seeing a very strong force, a very strong conservative force that is working very hard to roll back on the agreements from that conference. We are seeing a very strong conservative force that's seeking to reverse some of the gains that have already been made. And we are very concerned about this. And one way that we are already seeing, for example, is the rate at which teenage pregnancies are going up in Kenya. Statistics put Kenya at a level where 25% of girls who have not reached 19 years have already had a child. So already when you think about it, this is a child, a girl child who is supposed to be in school, or maybe finishing high school and going towards university or any part of the tertiary education.
Right.
And this is interrupted. Now you know what that does to this woman. It destroys her own opportunity to pursue her full potential in life, because now she has children when she is a child herself. And it negatively affects the quality of life for that woman, for a child or a children, for a family, for a community, because then she becomes a burden, right? And for society as a whole. And we are effectively trapping her in this cycle of poverty, because she is going to pass poverty to her children and her children after that. And therefore, we begin to see all of these economic development indicators that are negatively affected just by that rollback in terms of sexual and reproductive health and rights. So that's just one of the areas I wanted to highlight. The second area I want to highlight is the whole area of leadership. You know, Kenya, we've struggled to attain the 30% quota for women in leadership, particularly when we are focusing on women's representation in parliament. As we speak, there is a 33% representation of women in cabinet. However, in terms of elective positions in parliament and other levels, we have not yet attained that.
Correct.
And we see that the pace has been going very slowly, very, very slowly. And even though we have a constitution, we have not honored it.
All right. So how then is UN Women supporting that equality movement in Kenya?
There's a lot that's going on. One thing that we realize is that we really have to be the force that brings the women together. We really have to be the force that says women from all over, wherever that you may be located, is very important, that we come together and set one common agenda. And this agenda defines what we need to run with. It means in every space that you are participating in, this is what you are running with, and there may be many voices but one message. And so we are convening, we are supporting the women's movement to come together, convene spaces where we shape this agenda together. But also we are supporting, for example, training of members of the women's movement, so that they can be very confident even as they articulate their issues, as they engage with power, so that our issues really have the audience that they deserve. We are also implementing many different programs as UN Women, but also as the UN family in Kenya, that are aimed at looking at sexual reproductive health issues, ending violence against women, leadership training, building grassroots organizations so that they can also represent the issues that affect women at the grassroots level. So there's a lot that we are doing there. But there are also other actors that are doing a lot more, and all efforts count.
Okay, finally and briefly, what is the role then that men play in creating an equal society?
One thing that we want to make very clear, Anne, is that when we are bringing men on board, it's not that they must come and think they are doing women a favor. This is how things should be. If I may quote just what the Secretary General said in a few weeks ago, he said that we should be ashamed of the inequality that persists today. If we were to look at the inequality that persists today in our society, we would maybe equate it to the blight that is in our history on slavery.
Wow.
So he actually equates the inequality to something that we should be so ashamed of that happened in the recent past, and that is slavery. So as men are coming on board, they need to realize that they are coming in as partners, because as they say, men who are of quality are not afraid of equality. So
I'll say it again.
Yes, I will repeat that. So men of quality
are not
afraid of equality.
Wow.
And they come because of their conviction that there is a lot that humanity benefits and gains if we have equality, if we have women bringing their full force to the table and helping shape decisions that are made in political, economic, social life. So they are coming in as our partners and champions for this, not because they are doing a favor for women.
Yeah.
Everybody benefits from an equal world.
Thank you very much for that. And we hope to host you again on Punchline.
Thank you so much, Anne, for having us, and
Absolutely.
happy Women's Day again.
Thank you, and to you too.
Thank you.